And what is going on, Devils fans? As always, it is your host, your best friend, your confidant, and your number one source, Neil Villapiano. And welcome to a very special edition of the Devil State of Mind podcast. Literally to the left of us is Climate Pledge Arena, home of the Seattle Kraken here in Seattle, Washington. Devils will end their road trip tomorrow afternoon here against the Kraken, looking for their fourth win in a row, coming off a 5-4 very stressful win over the Vancouver Canucks last night at the time of this recording. But I am not alone today. I'm really excited because she's been on the podcast before, and it's great that we were able to actually get this to set up today. So it is with great pleasure that we welcome on SI Sports Illustrated's own Jennifer Streeter. Jennifer, welcome back to the Devil State of My podcast. How is your stay in Seattle so far?
Oh my God. Thank you, Neil. It is so good to be back, especially outside the beautiful state of the art Climate Pledge Arena. I've been here for days covering the Kraken homestand, being credentialed for since the Islanders game, I believe. I literally, as we're recording this, I just got back from Kraken practice, just spoke to a few players in the locker room, and of course, head coach Lane Lambert. So I'm just glad to be here. And of course, as our listeners and watchers know, I was literally just on your show, your podcast within the past month. But hey, I just loved it so much. I figured while you're here for the game, why not run it back?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited to do this. And again, it's a very unique backdrop here today. It's not like in my normal setup. I'm not in a hotel room. We are literally here where we're going to be pretty much 24 hours from now. 24 hours from now, I think would probably be the game will be over. And also the NFC Championship game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams will have kicked off. And there's a lot of buzz in this city as I got in this morning. It's they're ready. They're ready for an action-packed sports day, and especially with the Seahawks. And I know you covered the New England Patriots, who are also in the AFC Championship game against the Denver Broncos. Jared Stidham going up against the team that originally drafted him. And just sticking with football for just a moment, what is the overall feel from Patriots fans that you've kind of had a chance to speak to going into the AFC Championship game tomorrow?
Yeah, such an interesting question. I actually just got done interviewing a Fox weatherman,
Okay.
who's a really big Patriots fan. He reached out and was like, with the winter storm going on, I'd really love to give your readers the inside scoop on the weather ahead of the game, and just said that he really wanted to talk about it. So was talking about him, but honestly, the vibe is that the Patriots dynasty is back. That is the vibe that is currently going on, is that all of the fans that I've spoken with, the dynasty is back. The dynasty is back. Everyone's obsessed with Drake May, of course, as they should be. But yeah, just lots of hype going into the game. So should be good. Definitely busy work week for me. But as you mentioned, just a really good time to be in the city of Seattle with the game they have Sunday. Of course, the puck drop against the Devils has been pushed back. So now we're pushed ahead, however you
Correct,
phrase
yeah.
that. It's a noon start now.
For people back in Jersey, it is a 3 o'clock puck drop, noon here in Seattle. Doesn't really affect much of anybody in New Jersey, and most of you are going to be stuck inside with the massive snowstorm starting tomorrow. That's going to be very interesting, and hopefully I'm going to be able to get home on Monday morning.
Yeah, I'm supposed to fly home to Texas Monday morning too, and I was texting my dad. I was if I'm grounded here, I'm just gonna have to stay and cover the Capitals game when they come here. So we'll see.
We will have to wait and see. But yeah, no, it's really, there's a big buzz going on, and kind of going back to our focus here with hockey. Devils coming into tomorrow's game, as I mentioned, they have won the first 3 games of this road trip. They have swept Western Canada. They seem to have a knack for really doing well when they go out to Western Canada. I was at the game against the Canucks. If you guys follow me on social media, you guys know that you saw me at the game. Ran into a lot of other Devils fans. I'm expecting a lot of Devils fans at the game against the Kraken tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. Really, really excited about it. But the big news that really everybody's been talking about for the past 48 hours really is the news that we got about Luke Hughes. And obviously, once again, one of the Hughes brothers on the Devils is injured and is on LTIR, as Luke Hughes is out with what they call an upper body injury. Frank Saravalli reported originally that it might be a separated shoulder, and now it's just an assessment of Emily Kaplan of ESPN said that after consulting with a lot of different people, several doctors, that He's not going to do surgery, which would basically end his season. He's going to rehab it. He's going to be out, beyond the Olympic break, and we'll see where things are when he gets back. But yeah, no, again, really frustrating once again that the Devils are going to be without another one of their young defensemen. But I know that there's been a lot of talk about his play, and obviously, about the booing that happened a couple weeks ago. Just give me your overall thoughts on just the situation with Luke Hughes, and just looking at how the Devils have responded, honestly, since he came out of the lineup.
Yeah, for sure. Well, fun fact for everyone tuning in is that this is actually going to be I've been credentialed for the Devils since 2023, covered many games on site. This is my first game where I will be seeing Jack Hughes on the ice from the press box.
Wow.
Every single Devils game I've covered, he's been out or he's been injured.
How about that?
And it just so happens that, of course, now that I'm here, Luke is going to be out. So, that's just the way the coin dropped. But yeah, the reports I saw said initially said dislocated shoulder.
Correct.
I believe just from watching the play in super slow speed, like multiple times, it really just looks like a hyperextension to me. I mean,
Yes.
I am not a doctor. I am a sports reporter, as everyone knows.
And neither am I. I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to ever be one.
Yeah, but that's the vibe I got. I mean, first of all, just super disappointing for Luke.
Mhm.
Just with the booing incident that happened, it would have been really a great storyline and great
Mhm.
for him personally as a player, for him to kind of come back from that and have a really good rest of the season, put up a lot of points,
For sure.
Kind of really like prove himself, kind of use that as fuel to prove them wrong. And just the injury happened, and it really, for me, it couldn't have come at a worse time for him.
Right.
But obviously the Devils have done really well since then. I believe every single game of the road trip they're on, they have won.
They have won by 1 goal.
Yes.
Again, and just to recap for everybody, they won in overtime 2-1 against the Calgary Flames. They had another 2-1 game, this time regulation against Edmonton. And then the game that I was at in Vancouver, Devils had a 3-0 lead in the second period, but the Canucks came back and really pushed it. But the Devils were able to come away with a 5-4 win. So every game is just close. They got to grind it out, but they're finding different ways to win. They've won each of they're on a 3-game heater. They've won 5 of their last 6. They've been playing a lot better, and they're looking for their 4th win in a row and really kind of going back home with a complete sweep of this road trip.
Yeah, and that's what's really impressive is, I mean, when you kind of lose a key defenseman or kind of have an injury like that serious, to kind of keep the momentum going and
Right.
still get the wins and still do everything it takes to win, no matter by what the score was, I still consider that very impressive. Just also, that's something that they can use momentum wise coming in here for the Kraken. Like I said, I've been on site, and what I've really noticed covering Seattle over the past few days is they are starting really slow. Like their first periods, if the Devils jump on that, I think that could be a really pivotal time to take control of the game. Over the past 5 most recent Kraken games, Seattle has given up 8 goals in the opening period.
Fair enough.
In total. So I definitely think that's where the Devils can strike. I know you mentioned like Luke being out. I personally consider Cody Glass to be one of the more like underrated players on the Devils roster, who's kind of like underappreciated. I think he's stepped up.
2 goals last night,
yeah,
including the game winner.
And then I did see the clip of the Pepto.
I was going to say, also a big fan of Pepto-Bismol, the liquid kind. That was a choice.
That was, I mean, from what I'm assuming is that like he scored those goals with an upstep stomach. So like pop off king, like way to do that. But I think the Luke Hughes injury is big news, but I think the Devils have kind of kept the momentum going. So curious to see how that translates here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think Cody Glass now is actually tied for the 2nd most goals on the team, which is crazy to think about considering he's more of a bottom 6 guy, but he's developed really good chemistry on that line with Lenny Jimenez, who scored his first NHL goal in that game against Vancouver. Congratulations to him. I got a puck to commemorate it, so I'm really excited about that. And also, with Arseny Grutziuk, I mean, that line was so dominant last night. They've been really strong since this road trip began, and they're going to try to continue to do that here against Seattle tomorrow. Now, let's look at Seattle a little bit. I think it's fair to say that once again, they're kind of having an up and down year. They're a little bit streaky. Sometimes they look like that they're really kind of putting it all together. And then there's other times where they're getting beat up pretty good. Devils and Kraken faced off last week when the Devils won 3-2 in overtime, thanks to a really nice goal from Nico Hischier Devils will look to try to get the season sweep against Seattle. They've actually never lost in regulation to the Kraken since they came into the league. So that's a streak that the Devils will want to try to continue here in this one. But give the folks checking out the podcast today just kind of a perspective. I know you were at practice earlier today with the Kraken. Just kind of give a perspective of what Devils fans could see from the Kraken right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Key thing, like I mentioned earlier, is the slow starts. That's something that Lane Lammert has discussed heavily to us in the press conferences, and he's been very blunt about it. I believe the quote was like, "It's hard to win a 60-minute game when you only play 20 minutes of it."
Right.
So, and then he just went on to say he described the game as horrible and a disappointment in regards to last night's 4-2 loss to the Anaheim Ducks. So, key thing for Devils fans to watch is the slow start, whether New Jersey can capitalize that. Player to watch for Seattle, Jaden Schwartz came back from a lower body injury earlier this month. He is currently on a 3-game point streak.
Fair enough.
And then that's something that I asked him about in the locker room post game, and he said he's just doing everything he can to help the team as he's coming back from an injury, but that he's also working on his speed.
Got you.
So for those who are more like really, really locked in and maybe curious to see his speed, that's a fun thing that they can look for. But yeah, just slow starting team. They've been really up and down, like you mentioned. Like since I've been here, they won 4-1 over the New York Islanders, which that was like a really good game. When I was watching it from press row, like I thought they played.
And that obviously helps the Devils in the standings.
Yeah, like I thought that was like a really good game. They played really well. And then it was the 4-2 loss to the Anaheim Ducks, where it was like I was kind of almost covering a completely different team.
Right.
So yeah, like you mentioned, I would say Seattle's really up and down right now. And yeah, I would say those would be my keynotes.
I think it's fair to say that the Kraken are very similar to the Devils and like consistently inconsistent. Devils, again, the scoring woes, you guys know, they've just been there. I know the Devils scored 5 goals last night, but how often have we seen of late the Devils finding ways to score that many goals? And they didn't even score an empty netter. They had chances to really put the game away, but they decided to make it a little bit more interesting. Couldn't get that empty net goal, but nonetheless still found a way to get that win. So it'll be really interesting to see how they come out. I know that Sheldon Keefe, when he spoke to the media prior to the game against Vancouver, that the vibes are just better. Everybody's coming to the rink, feeling good about themselves, feeling good about their game, and the overall play of the team, despite obviously some of the mistakes that they make. And another guy that has really stepped up, and we're going to talk about him at nauseum moving forward, and that's Dougie Hamilton. Since he came back from being a healthy scratch for one game against Winnipeg, he has just had a phenomenal run here. He right now has set the 3rd longest point streak by a Devils defenseman in franchise history. If he can get to 7 tomorrow, that'll be number 2. He needs to get to 9 to set a new record for the longest streak. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, I think, for Devils fans. But the last thing that I really wanted to get your perspective on, because you've obviously been covering the Kraken all week, you've been at this arena. For anybody that is either coming to the game tomorrow or has a plan to come and check out this arena at some point, what are some things that stand out that kind of make, the Seattle Kraken and Climate Pledge Arena kind of so unique? Because it's still a fairly young franchise here. It's only been a couple of years, but I've heard a lot of positive things and a lot of great things about Climate Pledge. I want to get your perspective since you've seen them several times.
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out Seattle Kraken PR/media relations. There's always my favorite gummy worms for me in the press box, which I always very much appreciate. We get soft serve with our media meals before the game. So yeah, but like you mentioned, really just state of the art arena here. I mean, just because it's so new and because, like you mentioned, this is a new franchise. The light show pregame on the ice is like, I hate to sound like a biased journalist, but it's truly phenomenal to watch. Like, it's really like state of the art, the light show. Definitely recommend getting in pregame. Before that, I'm personally like, I don't think they have a lot of food options inside Climate Pledge Arena. That's just me. So I would recommend eating before.
Probably still better than anything at the Prudential Center, guys. I'm gonna just say that off the bat, and I haven't even been in the arena yet. So
but yeah, no, it's a new arena, it's a fun arena, light show, state of the art. It's really cool. And then I guess one other note I would add that I kind of didn't say earlier was Berkeley Catton has really impressed me while I've been here. He's really young. I believe he was born in 2006. And I was guys. I was born in 1999. So when I
and I'm
interview him
97,
and
so.
he's as articulate as me, I'm like, man, like what is
Jeez.
going on right now? But yeah, his TOI has been increasing as of late. Another member of the Kraken media today straight up asked Lane if he was considering adding him on the power play unit.
Yeah.
So he's been turning a lot of heads, and I would say he is the youngest member on the Kraken team, but he is one to watch as well.
And what's one player on the Devils that you're going to kind of keep your eye on going into tomorrow's game?
Well, Cody Glass,
Mm-hmm.
like I mentioned earlier, just because curious to see how his play works out post getting caught with the Pepto.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be
That's going to definitely start to be a trend. It'll be fascinating when he comes back to Jersey, like how many people are going to run with that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, bring Pepto to Prudential Center. I love it. But yeah, just with him coming off the goals in the game he has, I'm gonna be watching him. And again, just with this being my very first game where Jack Hughes has miraculously not been injured,
He's still playing with essentially, I think, one hand, but yeah.
But yeah, never seen him play in person from the press box. So those will definitely be the two I'm watching for sure.
And he has continued to honestly play really well, getting points in 14 of 16 games since he came back. He still only has one goal way back on December 22nd. So we would like to see him start putting the puck in the back of the net. I think maybe as we go along here and he continues to try to stay healthy, he'll start finding the back of the net. Had a couple of really good chances against Vancouver. Maybe he'll find a way to get one or a couple, we can only hope, in the game against Seattle tomorrow. But Jennifer, this was great. This was really unique to like literally have Climate Pledge Arena in the backdrop and having a chance to meet in person for the first time. And I know we did this before, but again, I do this with all my guests. Just let the folks at home know where they can check out all of your work and everything you got going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I cover all of the NHL teams, but do have specific interest in the Seattle Kraken and the New Jersey Devils. You can read all of my work on Breakaway on SI, which is the on SI division for NHL, part of Sports Illustrated. And then you can catch me on Twitter/X. I don't know what the right terminology is for that app, but at Jenny Streeter 3. I'll be in the Devils locker room post game. We'll be talking with Coach Sheldon post game, so be sure to tune in there for live quotes, and I'll be live tweeting the game from the press box as well.
Awesome. Well, again, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. This is great that we were able to get this done. And of course, again, you're more than welcome to come back on the podcast, maybe a little later down the road after the Olympic break, and we'll see where everything goes. But thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. And shout out to all of our watchers and listeners. I'll be back many more times. So Neil and I have known each other for years, so it's nice to finally connect in person, and I always love hopping on with him.
Absolutely. So again, thank you all for checking out this episode of the Devil State of Mind podcast. As always, check out the podcast on our social media platforms. Top right of your screen, Devil State of Mind on Instagram and Facebook, Devil State over on Twitter. Also follow me on TikTok, Neil.Villapiano. I post clips and everything else over there. And also my BlueSky account as well, Neil Villapiano. You get updates about the Devils and the podcast over there as well. And also make sure if you like this video, leave a like on the video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get notified every time a new episode comes out. And also subscribe over on wherever you get your podcast listening platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, all that good stuff. And if you're on Apple or Spotify, do me a favor and leave a 5-star rating on either one. Helps continue to grow the podcast as we continue to make a deep place for New Jersey Devils content. But for Jennifer Streeter, I'm Neil Villapiano. Thank you for checking out this episode again of the Devil State of Mind podcast. And we will see you in the next episode. Everyone continue to be the awesome people that you are. And as I always say, at the end of every episode, Jennifer, you got to do it with me. Put those horns up, baby. And let's go, Devils.